in the Believe It Ole Miss podcast. Brad Logan today, and joined by someone that we all know and someone we all appreciated back in the 1980s. That's, of course, Bill Smith. Very topical today, Bill, as you're named as one of the 2025 SEC football legends, and I know that was a really cool honor. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, you bet. Thanks for having me, man. Glad to chat with you.
So when you got the call to be a legend, I know that had to have been a really cool call.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's very humbling to be recognized for something you did 40 years ago. It's just
Yeah.
I think, I've won some awards over the years. I think this one is the that means the most to me. So
Yeah, as we go back in our time machine, of course, a Little Rock native, you made the decision to come to Ole Miss. What was your decision making process when you decided to come to school in Oxford?
so growing up in Little Rock, you're it's Arkansas. I mean, and this was back, before every game was on TV. And so you basically, as a kid in Little Rock, you were a Razorback fan. And that's they made the decision they didn't want to offer. They had offered another punter in the same class, so they decided they wanted me to walk on. Well, I had plenty of offers from different programs, and so I was actually going to be an Ohio State Buckeye, and my parents wanted me to stay closer to home. So my high school coach had actually coached David Hines, who was a wide receivers coach when he was in Oxford or when he was in high school. So um, he reached out to Coach Hines. They asked for some film, and I get a call from Coach Brewer, and he offered on the spot. And I came down to visit to Oxford, and the rest is history. So, yeah,
Bill, I think it worked out.
yeah,
All-American in 1985 and 1986. Um, Back in the days where you didn't see the booming kicks, and back then 44.3 yards on 254 punts, with a 50-yard punt in the 32 consecutive games. And here's the kicker for me. Remains number 2 in SEC history for a career 50-yard punch. You had 86 of them. I want to go back to your high school and maybe even your junior high days. When
mm-hmm.
did you start punting the football, and when did you figure out, hey, I kind of like this, I'm not bad at it?
So I started punting and kicking as a fifth grader, and just kind of taught myself how to do it over the years, and just kept doing it. And when I got to junior high and high school, it was what we did. I mean, I played, multiple positions in
Yeah.
high school and junior high. So I never left the field in high school, basically. So, but yeah, I just taught myself how to kick when I was a kid, and it stuck. So,
What are some kicks you remember growing up in high school?
so in high school, I had a 72-yard punt as a high school junior. That I think that's still probably a school record. Just that, and field goals. I kicked field goals in high school as well. I had a 49-yard field goal. I actually had a 54-yard field goal that it was a little colder that night, and it hit right in the middle of the crossbar and bounced back out. So that would have been my long would have been 54 yards. So
Well, you obviously make the decision to come to Ole Miss. What was that process? And I've got to ask about that 1984 Southern Miss game when you
mhm.
had what was it, a 92-yard punt?
The 92 and the 77, so two
Yeah.
punts for 84 and a half yard average. So that was obviously a special game, but there's a few that stick out in my mind still that I remember pretty well. So
Not only just punting at Ole Miss, but what do you remember fondly about wearing the Rebel uniform?
it was just an honor to play at Ole Miss, and we had a really good team, a lot of great memories, a lot of great friendships that I still have today from different players. And it was awesome. Coach Brewer was awesome playing for him. And so yeah. But there's games that stick out, like my senior year we played LSU and Baton Rouge. I think they were a top 5 team, or maybe a top 10 or top 5, either one. And we went down and beat them. And there were games like that stood out. Playing at Notre Dame my junior year, we didn't win the game, but it was just being where you're at. It's kind of like that's what college football is all about. So it was great memories. I mean, I still have a lot of great memories. So
Erie, Colorado, now is where you
Mhm.
call home. I
Yes,
know
sir.
you keep a close eye on the Ole Miss Rebels. What are your thoughts on where the program is right now?
It's great. Love it. The game has changed obviously a ton since we played back in the day, but it's still changing. And with NIL and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see us doing what we're doing, and hopefully we continue to move forward with it. So
Uh, Played back at Ole Miss back in the late 1980s. That was, of course, at the heyday of Coach Billy Brewer. What was it
mhm.
like playing for Coach? And
He's
what do you
awesome.
remember? What do you remember about Coach back in the day? You were, of
Coach Brewer
course.
was our kicking coach, so he basically just kind of let us do our thing, within reason as far as kickers and punters go, and so but yeah, it was awesome playing for him. He was. I learned a lot about not just college football but life in general playing for him. So
Yeah, the camaraderie of the teams, and I've asked John Darnell this. I know you know John, who serves as a
mhm.
sideline reporter. John was in Oxford, I think, a couple of years after you,
Mhm.
but he talked about it's almost like there was a camaraderie with players back then because there was an athletic dorm, and not so much now.
Yeah.
What have you seen, or what do you remember back then versus kind of what the college game is now?
Well, back then, we had a dorm, and every hall on the dorm had a GA that checked. We had curfews during the season. We even had curfews during the off season, during the week. And if you missed, bed check, it was not good news. We had the athletic cafeteria. You had to get up every morning and eat breakfast. If you missed that, then they checked, and if you missed that, you were in trouble. The biggest thing was, Coach Brewer made sure that you graduated. If you went to Ole Miss on a scholarship, you were going to graduate, and they would randomly check classes, and if you were not in the class you were supposed to be in, it wasn't good news either. So, but now, with the way things are now, no athletic dorms, and these kids running around with pockets full of money. I mean, how do you? I mean, I think the term herding cats might be. I mean, how do you keep them out of trouble? But
Yeah.
it's all different now. So
You ever get a chance to come back to campus?
I
When's the
do.
last time
Yeah.
you've had a chance to come back?
My wife and I, we try to make a game a year. We didn't make it this year. My son joined the military, and so we went to his boot camp graduation, and we're going to do some traveling with that, to go see him. And but yeah, I try to get back as often as I can. It's really cool to go back and just see how everything has changed,
Yeah.
campus wise, from what it was back in those days to now. I mean, you don't even recognize it. So
As a senior, I want to go back to kind of when you were in high school and obviously growing up in Little Rock in the middle of Razorback country. When you did get the opportunity to come to Ole Miss, you made the decision. What were your thoughts coming to Ole Miss? And then what were your thoughts once you got here and then, of course, graduated and then and went on about your life?
well, using being shunned by your home state team that you grew up watching was pretty. I mean, I used that for motivation throughout my career, and but yeah, getting to Oxford, it just at that point, I wanted to be the best I could be, and spending time in the weight room, getting as big and strong as I could leg wise, and I wasn't a very good punter per se. I was more of a really good athlete who could punt. And my leg strength, I had some shortcomings as a punter. I mean, I wasn't my technique was not always great, but I had a really strong leg, and that helped overcome a lot of that stuff. So, but
Did you go to camps in high school, kicking camp?
no, never had any formal coaching other than just the coaches on our staff that that I worked with. So,
And as you got older and you're able to come back to Oxford, come to some games,
mhm.
I'd love to walk me through the process of what it feels like to walk inside Vaught Hemingway Stadium, even now, 40 years later.
It's a lot different, obviously. I mean, the stadium back when in my day was not nearly what it is now, and but it's surreal to walk back in, and especially if you've not been back in a while, and just kind of take everything back in, and just the memories and playing there and all that. So
What take me back to when you played. Are there some games that stand out at you? I know we talked about
yeah.
some of the games that you played in the Southern Miss game when you had the huge average. Any particular games that kind of stand out that you think fondly upon?
Yeah, Little Rock, being a native there, and I literally grew up about 3, 4 miles from the stadium, and we played in high school. One of the teams that we played their home games there. So my senior year playing Arkansas and Little Rock was kind of special because I knew that was going to be the last time that I ever played there. The LSU game my senior year was special. Tennessee my junior year was a really good game. I had one of my better games of my career there. And what the funny thing was is, when you hit a really big punt, the crowd oohs and ahs and a lot of time, and it's usually your fans, not the opposing fans. But after about the third punt in that game, even the Tennessee fans were oohing and ahhing. So it was to hear 100,000 oohing and ahhing. It's kind of cool. So
Yeah, we've seen the advent of punting over the last couple of years in the college game with
mhm.
uh, the international punters. What have you seen through their technique versus what you did back in your day?
I don't see a lot different. I mean, the rugby punt obviously was different when they were doing that, but that kind of seems to have gone by the wayside now. But I don't know what they're doing different, but even like place kicking now, if you look at the NFL and you look at college, I mean, 60-yard field goals are kind of not uncommon anymore.
Right.
And it's, I don't know what they've done differently. I mean, if the balls have changed, strength and conditioning's changed, I'm not sure what it is, but they're kicking the ball a lot further than they used to. So I'm not sure, but
What stands out to you now in the college game? I know you still watch college football, and specifically with this Ole Miss team, what do you think they can do?
I mean, I'm hoping they go all the way. I mean, I think we're definitely a playoff team. And watching the games, I almost have to turn them off because of the level of excitement. Like this OU game last weekend, I was like, man, I can't watch it. I didn't turn it off, but I just, but yeah, I think we're a playoff team for sure. If as long as things keep going the way they are, and it's really fun to watch. I mean, I love what we're doing on offense, and it's entertaining. So.
I had a number of messages following the game last week when I was in Norman trying to get everything done, and they all pretty much said I'm physically exhausted.
It's hard to
Uh,
watch.
yeah.
It can be. So the LSU game was the same way. I'm just like, man, I got to turn this off. I mean, I'll just have to, but I didn't. But.
So tell everybody what you're doing. I know Erie, Colorado is where you call home. Tell
Yep.
us a little bit about what's going on with you.
So my wife and I are empty nesters now. My son, he was in college. He dropped out of school, joined the military, which we're so proud of him. He's in the Army, and I believe he's going to start Ranger training pretty soon. So he's the Army definitely agrees with him. He's one of those unique people that actually liked boot camp, and so he's a good kid. I work in business development for a fitness equipment company, and I work remotely. It's a pretty good opportunity. I enjoy doing that. So it kind of I'm still a workout junkie. I always have been. I do a lot of cycling now. I've got a road bike, and I think I just turned 60 this past summer, which I can't believe I'm saying, but I think that the workouts and everything that keep you young. I mean, I feel like I'm about 30 years old still. So
Yeah.
but
We talked in pre-production, and I do a lot of work with Chuck Rounsaville, and you mentioned that he was one of the first people you saw back in the '80s whenever you came to campus.
I've known Chuck for 43 years now. He was one of the first people I met in Oxford back when the Ole Miss Spirit was an actual newspaper,
Yeah.
and he put it out like once a week or whatever it was. And so, yeah, I consider Chuck a good friend. I've known him for, like I said, for over 40 years. So
Well, a great honor once again, Bill, being to the 2025 SEC Football Legends class. And before we get you out of here, I've got to go back to the game against Southern Miss. When you're headed onto the field, before you kick the 92-yard kick, what's kind of going through your mind? And when you hit it, is it kind of like a golfer
yep.
on a par five, and you stroke the drive and you think, okay, I caught that one?
The funny thing was I didn't even punt in the game until the fourth quarter. So
Yeah.
I'm not even warmed up anymore at that point. And I go out, and it's like when you hit a big punt like that, it's like a drive in golf. When you hit that monster drive, it feels like you didn't even hit it.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I saw the punt, and I mean, I knew it was a really good punt, but I do remember the Southern Miss player. He kind of just looked. I don't think he even turned around and ran back at it, but I mean, I hit the ball around the goal line, and I think it landed on the other 18 in the air, and then it rolled through the end zone.
Yeah.
The 77 was a little different. It was kind of one of those spirals that didn't turn over. It kind of curved, and he kind of overran that, so it hit the ground and rolled and got to the end zone as well. So, but yeah, I remember it like it's yesterday. It was a special moment. So
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on the honor. And I know you
thank you.
you always enjoy that you told me you always enjoy getting to come back to Oxford. I know you and your
Oh yeah,
family are
it's
excited for
special.
that
It really is.
opportunity. Thanks for joining us today,
You bet.
and we wish you all the best. And it was great catching up with you.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate your time and thanks for having me.